Hey guys, so today I wanted to demonstrate my newest project that I am showing to the Convex community, and that is called ConvexDoc. Now, I'm not too sure about the name just because it's not really Googleable. Is that a word? Because if you search ConvexDoc, it's going to pull up their actual documentation, but I don't really know what to call this, and I'm just gonna blame it on me being a programmer because we never know how to name stuff. But it's basically a static documentation generator tool or CLI, and so I thought, Convex Doc because it makes docs. I don't know. Maybe someone can help me with the name. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to kind of showcase this and gauge the community's interest. So let me know if you guys are interested in this project. And yeah, I'm gonna do a little demonstration. So before that, a little background. So it is open source, and if you guys have any issues or future suggestions, or if someone forks this and improves it and wants to submit a PR back to the main branch, let me know. And please do. I'm open to contributions and give it a star if you want. But the basic idea was that, hey, I really like docs.rs from Rust. If you don't know what this is, or if you're not familiar with Rust, it's basically Rust built-in documentation generator. So if you're building a Rust library, most applications don't really use this, but if you have a library in Rust, you can push it to crates.io. So crates.io is basically the npm for Rust. And a lot of packages, see if I go to like uh, libc, right? Libc, and I go to docs.rs, you can see that we just have this documentation page. I can click on a function and I can see the structure, I can see the fields, I can see the traits, whatever. I mean, this wasn't a great example because they don't have that many actual like uh, written word. Yeah, Rand is a better example. Let me go to Rand, show you guys. So here you can see, right? This is basically the index page. You have this, quick start, all this stuff. All of this is generated from source code. Like these are comments in the source code that is generated. And all these modules you see right here have their own documentation, their own links. You can see different structs, different traits, different functions in the library. So I just thought this was really cool because why can't Convex have something like this? And so that was kind of the inspiration. And I have a little bit of experience doing something like this before, at least with like parsing convex data. Because about a year ago, I built Convex TypeGen, which is basically a Rust tool for Rust developers who are building like Rust based client code for Convex. So instead of using JavaScript and calling Convex code from JavaScript, you're calling Convex from Rust. And there was really no type safe way to do this. So I built this tool that basically reads the Convex folder and outputs, um, whereas here's an example. And it basically outputs like your own basically typed schema, right? Like this is all automatically generated. And it was pretty cool. And I think it was definitely a learning moment. I could have done a lot of stuff better. And I think that I could probably make a better version this time around. You can also see that I was on Windows because there's a freaking uh, .ps1 file. Ew. But anyways, back to the project. So that's kind of some background. And I guess I'm just going to show you guys kind of how to actually set up this project. So I already have it installed in this little task manager app that I made. It's really simple. It's not really important like what's in the app, but as you can see, it's just, a task managing app with a couple tables for task, list, and comments. And then I have some HTTP routes, and some queries and mutations and whatnot in here. So all you need to really have to use this library is your convex folder. Now, to install it, you can just do pm add, or npm or yarn, whatever you want to use. There is documentation on the GitHub and on the npm package, so just read through this, and then we can add it. And then once it's added, you can do npm ConvexDoc, and then there are three main commands. So if I go to the documentation again, we can see there's a generate command, which it builds the actual static HTML. There's the serve command, which will create a local server on whatever port you want. By default, it's 3000. And it'll basically, host your static site so that you can actually view it locally. And I think this is really cool. And this is also what, docs.rs has by default for Rust. And then there's a start command, which does both of them in one command. Now, sometimes you may want to start and stop the server without actually like regenerating the server from scratch, or sorry, the HTML from scratch. So that's why they're separate. But if you do want to just use one command, then that's fine. So we're just going to do generate and okay, cannot find TypeScript. Let me install TypeScript. Sorry. That's actually something I have to change. I have to, inside of ConvexDoc, I have to add TypeScript as a dependency and not a dev dependency. Because I think that was just like something I overlooked. Which is why it's good to test things like now, and why this is not in version 1 yet, because there are still bugs. But basically, if you add something as a dev dependency and someone installs the package, it only installs the actual dependencies, not the dev. So I have to make TypeScript an actual like dependency. Now, I'm assuming that most people would probably use TypeScript with Convex, so you probably wouldn't run into this error if you already have a real project set up, but it's still something as a library dev I have to like change. So let me just install TypeScript just to make this error go away real quick. And why is that an error? Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that. That's a lint error. I don't know what's going on. Okay, but yeah, let me do pm ConvexDoc generate, and you can see here, it does a couple things. So it's using .env under the hood, and what's really cool is that this will actually read your env file for you. It also supports, command line env variables. So if you wanted to do like convex url equals, something, and then you could run the command and that works, or you can just have a .env file, which I think most Convex developers will use, since Convex themselves generates that file for you. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It runs on startup, and you can see we have function spec fetched, and then this is docs written to, and this is the path. So if we go here, we have this configuration file that was generated, convexdoc.config.json. And we have some options here, which I will go over in a little bit. But the interesting thing is this docs file. And if you go in here, we can see some HTML. We have a convex manifest, an app.js, and we have assets, which is the convex logo. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and actually run this. So convex docgen serve. And you can see we are now hosting on the local 3000. So if we go to our browser and do localhost 3000. Okay, that's embarrassing. Oh, there's no HTTP. Yeah, that would make sense. Here we go. And you can see that here is the generated API. So we have our deployment name, so you can tell what deployment it is, what if it's in development or in production. This is development. We have search. We have a list of API modules. So yeah, this is pretty much the basic idea. We got a function summary and then different modules. So if I click on the modules, you can see we get some information, what arguments they have, what return values, and we also have a function runner. And as it sounds, the function runner can basically execute Convex functions on your behalf. It pretty much uses Convex's HTTP client to do this. So at the moment, there's no real time like Convex supports, but it wouldn't be too hard to add, honestly, considering I already have a server for this that's kind of hosting this site. So if that's something people would want, then just let me know and I can try to figure that out. But as you can see, we also have syntax highlighting for the return value. So, list, delete list, it takes in this argument and it returns an ID. So let me go ahead and try to test this out for you guys real quick. Let me find a mutation. Oh, throw error. We also have error handling. So if I do that, this is a test error. Cool. Oh, another thing, there's also like, if you look at the arguments, it's like auto pre-filled, just like the Convex dashboard. So you don't have to like type in all the arguments. But let me find something interesting. So create task, here we go. Yeah, because I think I have to make a list first. Create list. Okay. Let me just do this. Will it give me back the ID? I'm not sure. Test. Okay, it did give me back the ID. Okay, wait, I might be able to actually test this out. All right, now we can do create task and then list ID. Okay. And then we can do title, wash the dishes, assignee ID. I don't actually know what that is. Um, okay, let's try to run that. Okay, cool, it worked, it worked. Okay, that's good. And then let me see now, query, we can do this, we can do ID, and then boom, we have the JSON. And look at that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's literally it. And the cool thing about this project, I think, is that it just gives you a really visual way to like explore your own API in Convex. And I think that's really cool. You can also use this as like public documentation. So if you built like an API for Convex and you want to make it public, then you could just generate a static site. There is a bit of customization that you can do. Like I said, we have a configuration file. You can see this customization, this theme. You can make an accent. You can also add specific documentation for modules themselves. So if I go to the documentation, I scroll down, you can see right here that we can have a landing page. So let me just copy this real quick. What is this under again? Yeah, under there. Okay. Uh, Oh, it was already in there actually. Okay, let me just do like landing.md. And this has to be a markdown file. And it can go basically in your root directory. So let's do landing.md. And we'll just say task manager testing the landing page rendering. And then we'll restart the server and we'll basically run ConvexDoc generate, and this will fetch the documentation and generate a new doc. And then we'll do ConvexDoc serve. And if we go back and refresh, we can see it now says testing the landing page rendering. So you can basically have your own welcome page to the documentation if you want. There currently is only like the option for one page, but you know, it wouldn't be too hard to add like custom logic to the actual modules themselves to make it like even more featureful. Disabling the function runner. I forgot to mention this. So if you actually do want to deploy this like site to its own domain so that people can see your public API, definitely disable the function runner unless you just are rich and don't care about the bill, I guess. But yeah, this will basically turn off all this run functionality, which is good because you know, this actually hits your real backend and someone could easily just sit here and click, you know, run, 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 run. And you know, every convex function you have to pay for. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much ConvexDoc though at the moment. Again, like this is just a couple days of work, so I'm still open to ideas and still testing things out. I have tested this on a much larger project and it definitely does look a lot cooler. Like once the API modules is like really long, like at Clarity Text, we have like I think 300 functions or something in Convex and like at least 20-30 modules. And so it really feels like, you know, a real documentation page at that point. And yeah, the search also does work. It's kind of basic, but you know, it works sort of. Uh, can definitely improve that though. But anyways, that's the introduction. I hope you guys did find this useful, and if you think it's cool, let me know. Leave a comment, and yeah, I think that's about it.